Good evening. Ira Epstein with your SPDR ETF wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for Wednesday. We're at the 2nd of March, 2022. Interesting day. You know, there's so many accusations, so much to keep up with. You get worn out watching the Ukrainian situation. It's emotional. You want to cry. My wife just put up lights on the outside of our home that are yellow and blue in sympathy. She showed it to me tonight. You feel bad, We're not Ukrainian. We don't even have that many. I don't know if we have any Ukrainian friends. Romanian, Croatian, they live right next door to us. They're one of our best friends. But I don't know about Ukrainian. I'll have to ask her. It doesn't matter. They're people. And that's the key. We watched today Federal Reserve Chair speak on his first day of a two-day meeting in front of Congress. He's told you that he's all in favor of a quarter-point hike. At first, he made it sound like that was the only thing they're going to do. He opened the door up for a half point as the conversation went on, but that was more of a cover-up to just leave the idea that it was there. It would take something big for that to happen. And the only big things that can happen is Ukraine gets worse, unless all of a sudden Mr. Zelensky and his parliament decide to cave in and just turn over the country to Russia. Now, if you think that's going to happen, that could be an event. I don't think it's going to happen. So therefore, it's going to be more bloodshed, more destruction. And I'm praying that the World Court and others will try and put up, they don't have to be at the trial, Putin and Lavrov, and make them enemies of the world and condemn them. They are doing acts that are unbelievable. And I listened today to Lavrov, as you should, and you got to read all these things, they're important, as he said that Ukraine is out there aggressively asking the NATO people in the West to give them nuclear weapons to fire against Russia. They have the technology and the know-how, that they do. Do you recall when this became an independent country and Russia had its nuclear weapons there? They gave them all back, but the people that manned them are probably still alive. So the technology's there. Doesn't mean they have the capability. You think you go out to your local store and you buy a nuclear weapon? Okay, let me go to Amazon. Can you ship me? You understand what I'm getting at. Otherwise, Iran would have it already, right? So let's not get carried away with that. The Iranian deal is still close to, by the way, occurring. Haven't seen it yet happen. They keep hitting snags. We'll see. I'm against it, but that's just me. So as we take a look, Lockheed Martin, again, stellar day, up nearly 10%. So not for today, but for the week. That's a pretty strong gain. Today, the market was down 1.45%, but remember, it was up this day 5.26, 5.94. This day, 3.48. That's about 14, 15% with that one. So to give back 2%, who gives a darn? That's a year's move for most traders, right? So this is still very much alive. It is on a stilt. How do you come into this? Where do you put a stop? That's the biggest problem that you have on that. The pattern, you can see how the market worked here. Now, here's something to look at that a lot of you don't pay attention. You're waiting to see when the 100-day average in green gets over the 200. Then you have the 18 over the 100 over the 200, and long-term traders pay note of that. It's another crossover on the chart that they will look at. It adds fuel to the upside fire. The market is now 4 days in a row over the upper Bollinger Band. It is rare to go beyond 5. So could you be up again tomorrow on it? You could, but I'm telling you, the 6 days difficult. So I consider this some borrowed time. Wouldn't be surprised that the market opens higher and closes even lower tomorrow. Somewhere along the line here, the market starts getting back into a more normal type of trade pattern. In Apple, the first resistance point should be right here, the 18-day average of closes. Now, as you know, Apple is closing stores in Russia. There's other events taking place. One American company after the other is doing a great job of saying no to doing business in Russia. Shame on you, Shell. I have a Shell card. I'm throwing it away. I'll buy at other stations. Again, I'm not Ukrainian, but I think you have to be behind it. Why do they have to do business? Exxon's backing away, British Petroleum. Come on, you can do better than that. The more pressure that gets onto Russia, that's what they'll eventually have to pay attention to. XLF, lower highs, lower lows. You can see what the market's doing right through here. Okay, there's resistance at the 200-day average. The trend is down. It's always hard to get short, though, on an oversold condition. I teach my traders, it's hard enough to trade. You don't do things that are blatantly not right. In Disney, I've expected a rally back to the battleground of the 18-day average, and I'm getting just what I expected. Now, you enter another down leg if you take out 143.78, and the market issues an all-clear signal. I'm back to being bullish. I'm through with this if you get over 150.28, and I'll qualify it, in my opinion. So we'll see. Those are the two numbers that I'm starting to look at on the chart. In the industrial sector, the market took out yesterday's outside day down. When that occurs, until you take out this low of yesterday, and that low is 97.76, the odds now put strongly in favor that you're going to rally back up into the Bollinger Band and the rest of that resistance. The number I care about is 102.76. In the semiconductors, this is where I think the pros are going short again, right in here. I don't think they'll hang around very long if the market takes out this high of 208.65, $5 risk, and if they're right, they're looking for 192.43. In the home builders, trend turned back up. You don't want to be short anymore now. How fast did that happen? So now you've got higher lows, higher highs. I look for pros to be buyers. It's 70.59, stops right under this low of 68.66, and the target between getting up into the upper Bollinger Band at 70, what is that going to be? It's going to be around the 74.35 level. Not bad. We'll see if the market can do it, but everything looks good on that so far. In the energy sector, you're over the upper band in a tight sideways range, and you're overbought. Let somebody else trade it. I'm not good enough to call the top or say how far this thing can go. Here's what I know. $115 oil is high. It's high because if you look at the backwardation in crude oil and go back 3 months, you're $12, $13 a barrel cheaper. So it's all about you can't get supply now is what the market's fearful of, not that the supply isn't going to be there. Do you see the difference? That's not necessarily reasons to be short. You're not hearing me say that. But there's a point where you say, I want to put my hands in my pocket. This is a game that's out of control for me. In the gold market, you're overbought. You keep hitting upside resistance and going nowhere. I think for the moment, time to be sidelined there. It doesn't act like a market that wants to pick up and run. What other news can it get? Can inflation get any worse? I mean, it's rampant. Can the war get any worse? I don't think so. And gold's not running. Enough for me. And the chart actions, what I look at, and that's what it's saying. We have lower highs, lower low in GDX. So let's assume GDX, which is doing something much more interesting. Notice how both numbers are over 80. They were not that way yesterday. You're just overbought. You're not embedding. If it could embed, then I get interested. Embedding occurs when both numbers get over 80 and stay that way, and it tells you, hey, the game is not going to give you mercy. You got to buy the little breaks because it's probably going higher until you lose that reading. Copper market right up and over the upper Bollinger Band. It's one of my favorite markets, but not from the war. I've been telling you, I think as COVID comes to an end, copper, XME, those type of things, they're going to be in very strong demand. TLT, game over. You had your emotional rally. Where did it go to? What do I teach? And by the way, at the end of this, you're going to see my enhanced Bollinger Band course. What do I teach? That's where you come out in the markets first time you hit it, and boom, just like that. And by the way, that reminds me, what are we going to do tomorrow? At 12:15 p.m. tomorrow, we are going to have my What's Up live webinar. And we'll come back to the charts in a minute here. We're not done. So in that, you get to ask me the questions. Now, I have sent out the invites. If you didn't get the invite, it's because you're not on my mailing list. Okay, let's resolve that. Come up here, sign up for the course. All you do is move your cursor up. You'll see as you move it up, an icon appear. Click on it, fill out everything. You'll be sent your user ID and your password. Write me any questions you have if they're on spiders, ETFs, or stocks before I begin. That's at 12:15. I don't have time from then on to start building your chart. I have all the futures charts because at the end of the day, I'm a futures broker. But I've got all that and I can create them on the fly real fast. So do that and we go. We open at 12:15. We begin promptly at 12:30 p.m. We end promptly 20 minutes later at 12:50. It doesn't take away from your day. You arrange your schedule. I hope to see you all there. Okay, back to the charts. So we're still in an uptrend. If you take out 136.18, you no longer are, but that was the play. Fait accompli. You don't do what you're supposed to do. You weren't embedded. I think the pros got out of everything there. That's what I teach in the enhanced course, and that'll be here and add on it in a minute. In UUP, the dollar, still bullish, but would I ever have you buy over a Bollinger Band? Let me share the words with you. Never. I will never tell you to buy long over a Bollinger Band. The markets will pull back under it. If you want to be bullish, that's when you are, but you're still overbought. Yes, the trend is up. Overbought conditions don't get Ira Epstein involved in markets. Same thing in FXC. As bearish as I am, I think it's going to pop to the right-hand side of that band. Oversold. So as I said, how do you learn about enhanced Bollinger Bands to, I think, enhance your trading arsenal? Watch this. Welcome. I'm Ira Epstein, and I'm here to talk about my enhanced Bollinger Band course. Now, many of you have taken my regular charting course, and if not, you might think you know something about Bollinger Bands. As you know, Bollinger Bands are an algorithm designed to keep the market trading within it 95% of the time, and on a chart, it will offer on the top part resistance, on the bottom support, and the idea is the market will travel within them. We know that sometimes it latches onto that band, goes up or goes down. Well, how do you play with that? Can you pyramid the positions off that type of thinking? Well, I've applied all three of these into 13 different videos that teach you my concept of it. And from that concept, you're able to work with weekly charts and or daily charts. The 13 videos, each about 7 minutes long. The idea here is not to put you in school forever, but to teach. Now, if you haven't tried my complete futures research, I throw that in as well. Whether you've tried this or not, I think it's worth taking a look at. I think you're going to learn something from there. That research, by the way, covers twice daily market updates for you and access to what I call window envelope numbers, which I think are very important when looking at these Bollinger Bands. The next part is a trial to our charting software so you can make your charts look the same way that mine do. It's that simple. Where do you go with it and how do you get all this? It's simple. You go to our website, www.iraepstein.com. If you go to the word education, everything you need is answered there. You can also call my staff. They'll be happy to help you get set up. I'm Ira Epstein, on the road to your education.